What's ET short for? Hess only got little legs.
And that's the joke of the day. Welcome into kmenzel at twitch.tv/kmenzel. This is LadyQEW. She's my wife. We're here streaming on two-player Thursday-ish, where normally we would be playing two-player games.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Hello, Cobra.
Yeah. Today we're going to be playing a one-player game.
But it takes two of us
But
to
it takes
play.
two of us to play.
I'm
so
sorry.
This isn't the first time we've
Why
played a
does
one-player
it keep
game.
blurring out my fingers?
Because it doesn't trust that you're not a duck. Or a goose.
Definitely. Hold on. It does not trust. Well, you know what we say to that?
Anyways.
But yeah, apparently, kmenzel needs my help.
Yep.
With something.
So,
we
are playing Atari 2600 games, and we got to the Activision Atari 2600 games, and that brought us to boxing, which is delightful, and that was fun, and I believe we played some boxing.
Yeah, we did.
In fact, I'm pretty sure we got an unlock in that, and we'll be getting there today. We'll, in fact, be starting there today, because that was... I figured it out. I figured out some of the mystery of this collection that's not in the manual, so thanks for that. Game.
Yay! Why would it be in the manual, kmenzel? What are manuals even for?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. So let's just shift over to this. There we go.
Thanks for having me, everybody. I'm super happy to be here. To face my nemesis.
Yeah, so...
The Atari 2600.
The Atari 2600. So what we have lined up is Bridge for the Atari 2600. Oops.
Oh, no.
And I never really grew up playing card games. LadyQEW has a different childhood than I do. Shock.
Wait, we have different childhoods? I'm so confused now. I'm not actually confused. So, kmenzel, you had a cottage, right? You spent time at a cottage? Yeah. So, kmenzel grew up as one of those cottaging kids.
Yep.
Who would get out of the city and spend some time at a cottage regularly during the summers. I grew up a camping kid. Very similar. I would get out of the city, spend some time camping in the summer. A big difference between camping and cottaging, however, is the amount of space that you have for activities when it's raining. Because when you have a cottage, you have a cottage.
This is
when
true.
you're in a tent, really that many places to go. So we used to depend a lot on games that were easily portable, and a deck of cards is fantastically easily portable and comes with a myriad of different game options. And so I am what I would call a relatively seasoned card player as a child. There are a lot of card games that I know. I don't know how it stacks up to, like, the actual breadth of all the possible card games that there are. But I know a lot. At one time, I knew 42 different ways to play solitaire. Do I remember all of those now? No. I think I remember about 16. That's still a large number of different versions of solitaire.
Did you ever have a Hoyle's Book of Games?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. I'm sorry. Yep. Hoyle is one of, like, my mother had, like, 2 editions of Hoyle, because Hoyle is where we would go when we were arguing about the rules. Anyway, let's go get my Hoyle.
Like, reference for games.
It is indeed. And one of these many, many card games that I learned, there are lots of beautiful card games out there. I really love cards. Strongly recommend, highly recommend every card game I ever played. But one of the particular card games that we played a lot, because I have an older brother, an older sister, myself, and my mom. That right there is 4 people. So the games that we were most likely to play for a lot of my childhood were 4-player games. And hearts is relatively easy. Spades is relatively easy. Even euchre is relatively easy. When I was 7 years old, my mother taught me how to play bridge.
And so we're going to see what LadyQEW can remember in a version of Bridge that is the least card game-like version of Bridge that I've seen in my life.
What we are going to do here is see how agitated we can make LadyQEW when the Atari 2600 has failed to program their Bridge game appropriately.
Yep.
That is the goal.
But before we get there, we're going to start with the thing that we unlocked
Ooh.
when we did some boxing stuff. So I'm going to select a game. And I'm going to go to boxing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go left and right on this, apparently.
Okay.
And so when you've unlocked a commercial, if you go left and right, you get the C button thing there. And then that unlocks a video from the time that Activision would have put on the television. So let's sit back, relax, and enjoy some quality advertisements. Yeah, I feel like I should I should run an ad. Yeah, not sponsored.
Run an ad during this ad.
During the ad, but you don't want to miss the ads. So
of course not.
Here's an ad.
We need to see the.
1981 was a year of explosive growth for the video game industry as a whole, and for one company in particular, Activision, bringing you the most creative and original home video games with extraordinary graphics, exciting sound,
Hey, Poison Darth Frog.
and incredibly realistic action. Just what you've come to expect from Activision.
I love the realistic action of the skiing there.
My video games is to bring the player onto the screen, to put him into the game, to have him experience the thrill of the sport or the challenge, make them feel like they're part of the game, that they're in the game.
It's a quote.
Ice hockey by Activision.
Hey, Essen Tarma.
One of the roughest video games around for your Atari game system? Ready to battle for the puck? Well, to inflict fierce body checking, furious stick checking, ruthless tricking. You really think you're ready for all that?
That woman has been traumatized.
Here's your charge. Ice hockey by Activision!
Oh my god.
Wow.
What I like about video games.
You know
is
what?
a game that
It was
as
a
you
different
achieve different levels,
time.
you get more insight into the game. As you get better at the game makes it harder for you to get better on it. It should have a skill factor, and the skill factor should either be one of physical reaction, or there should be a strategy involved, a mental thing that you have to do, so that the game itself grows on you.
So you think you're fast enough to beat the bomber? I don't think so.
Kaboom! By Activision. Plug this cartridge into your
I'm
Atari video
so
game system and get
Ice
ready
hockey
to
is
handle
essentially
high
Mortal
explosives.
Kombat. I don't
sneeze.
like.
Don't even
Come on,
blink,
Poison Darth
because the
Frog.
faster you get, the faster he gets.
There's so many comparisons.
miss.
Kaboom! By Activision.
Where's the
I enjoy people
kaboom?
enjoying themselves. I think
There
that's
was
what-
Is there a horse racing
what turns me on
game in
most in
this?
game programming is
There
the
was
unique combination
supposed
of
to be an
technical skills and
earth-shattering
creativity.
kaboom.
Combine those things. I really enjoy that.
If there is a horse racing game, you better check Twitch's
You're telling me you
TOS.
can't handle a stampede?
Not this one, Buck.
Stampede by Activision for your Atari game system. One of the toughest video games around. Stampede's more than expert roping and ride. It's a test of strategy and skill.
Go ahead.
So these are all so far games that we haven't played, but
Stampede by Activision.
Listen, I'm looking forward to that one.
Is graphics and sound. I try to make a game as colorful as possible.
I think I'm gonna like Stanley.
Freeway looks like
As I
Frogger.
can. Each time I try to advance the state of the art and try to come up with
I'm looking
some
forward
new
to some of
way
these games.
Is
performing
Frogger
the
trademarked?
program. Until
Probably.
I do that, I don't know how
Namco,
far
I
can
think?
go.
Okay, ladies.
Another fine example of how you cannot patent or trademark
Freeway.
or, like, in any way
game system
steal ownership of the rules of the game,
to race your chicken
but
across
the
10 lanes of heavy
name.
traffic. You gotta dodge speeding cars.
Challenge mod to ice hockey.
Sometimes you make it without getting your feathers ruffled. Sometimes.
I mean, the fact that he's surrounded by chickens.
Freeway by Activision.
In Freeway, you're answering the question, why did the chicken cross the road?
The award-winning
Does it have a
Activision
life
design
system?
team, constantly
Probably.
pushing back the creative boundaries of video game design.
The hallmark of an Activision game is the unique.
No. Hallmark is not the same brand.
Inside
Get out of here,
make
Mr.
you feel
Levy.
like you're a part of it and not just playing with it. That theme's going to be a big part of our advertising this year.
The Activision advertising plan features
This is such a deliberate
and for the first time,
marketing
campaign
project.
ties it all together with the real name of
It's
the game.
almost overwhelming to me.
And we're not
This is the
stopping there.
difference
Activision
between
continues
just
to
telling
introduce
someone
new and
something
innovative
exists,
point-of-sale
which is a
materials
thing that
as creative
Nintendo
and
did a
original
lot
as
at
the
Nintendo
Activision
Directs,
games
for example,
themselves. They'll generate
and
real
trying
excitement in the retail
to
environment and
create
keep the retailers
the market that you then sell into.
Yeah.
Like, this is clearly a campaign designed to be like, you don't want video games and don't care about them. We are going to make you care about them and want every video game.
will soon be 3 times what it is today.
To be fair, though, I only want Stampede. Get the rest of these out of
means
here.
anything if you don't have it in the game to begin with. And that's where our design team comes in. They are constantly pushing back the creative boundaries in game design. And Activision is actively recruiting and developing new game
Activision
design
is
talent.
active.
Every new game that we come out with at Activision is a new breakthrough in the technology. Barnstorming is a breakthrough in its use of graphics and vivid colors.
Activision's Rookie of the
So
Year,
what happened to
Strike,
Activision?
takes you on a wild ride.
Did it go out of business?
Barnstorming.
No.
It'll set the
They started making games like COD.
Oh no.
from David Crane, the excitement.
That one game was clearly marketing to nerds who live with chickens. It's a niche market, Poison Dart Frog, but I think you'll find it's very lucrative. Have you seen the price of eggs?
Video game design. For example, take a look.
That was a very modern joke.
We've got coming in June.
If you know, you know.
Ooh, sneak preview number 1.
Preview.
Sneak preview number 2.
Whoa.
We've come out of nowhere to be a leader in the industry in just 2 years. But we've just started. I mean, the fun has just
We've
begun.
come out of nowhere
Creative growth
to be a
is
leader in the
enormous
industry in just 2
growth in
years.
front of us. And Activision's
The
gonna play a
industry
major
is
role in
just
those
2 years
areas
old.
during the next decade.
No. So Activision did start in 1980. The Atari came out in 1977.
And of course,
I'm too old to get modern jokes valid.
Activision
I was actually thinking that as we were getting ready for Stream Poison Dart Frog. I was just like, I feel very old today. Very get off my lawn grandpa energy happening right here.
So anyways, that was the unlock that we got with boxing. We're going to go to Brijuk. At least according to how I'm reading that. That G seems to be a little
That's
bit
a
higher
very
than
big
everything
G.
else. Brid GE. All right.
Oh, it's got to set up like that. Okay.
Yeah. So this is, you can see on the front box how this is going to be set up. In fact, they use that as the cover art. This is Bridge. You can tell it's Bridge because what? And so
To be fair, that's how they used to print Bridge in the newspaper.
so that's probably why they did it this way.
Because Brid get. Because I don't know if anybody knows this. There's used to be a thing on like the crossword page in newspapers. Like a long time ago. But like along with the crossword, along with whatever other puzzles there was a bridge hand. And kind of the start of a bidding round. And like you would have to, the puzzle there was you would have to solve it. You would have to determine who got the contract based on the bidding provided and then whether or not they made and like what the leads were and stuff like that. And they would have solutions. And I remember looking at some of this stuff and just being like, why would anybody care? And now we have our answer. Everyone. It's fine.
Yep.
It's fine. Some people really enjoyed doing it, I would imagine.
Oops. I did want to select that.
Cool.
So, I'm just going to go back to my help page again.
Gameplay.
I
have a
believe
sheet.
that we want left difficulty and right difficulty both set to B.
Set both difficulty switches at B down to begin.
Yeah, so basically, if they're on A, which is typically used for easy, so I don't know why they've gone reverse. A lets you see the opposing hands and also your partner's hand.
Oh, yeah. A up is expert, B down is novice.
Sure.
I think what I don't fully understand, because it has 3 game modes.
Yes.
For each of the 2 different types.
Yeah.
So just to explain and express a little bit, there's basically 2 different game modes on this, but they call it 6. One game mode is everybody bids, contracts happen, it's like a hand of bridge. The second game mode is there is no bidding whatsoever. You as the player just select the contract that you are going to try to make, and then you play the hand. And so it's basically with bidding, without bidding, as the 2 game modes. But then each one has like a team points thing, and I don't know what that means.
So,
like, what does 21 team points or more mean? Is that like the number of points that we need to like win the game, or is that the number of points
to
we
win the
need
game
cumulatively before they'll play?
No, I believe to win the game, but we'll see how that works.
Yeah,
we can start with 1.
Okay.
Game mode 1, that is.
Okay.
And just see how this goes.
You can explain the UI, probably.
So I'm gonna go into the game. It's gonna be very rude to us. I think
that was an agitated sound.
F3 changes the game mode, so we want 1.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna hit F4 and F5 in hopes that just switched them down, because there's no indicator until we start the game. So we hit F1 to start the game. And no, we don't. We hit F2 to start the game. F1 is help. And then you can use that Xbox controller for
I'm
the controls.
sorry, I have to use controls?
Yes.
This seems way less fun than telling you what to do.
Okay, we have this set up correctly because we can't see the partner hand.
Okay.
So LadyQEW's hand, if she likes this deal,
I'm willing to count it out. So I don't know how many people have played Bridge. Let me give you a brief synopsis. Bridge is a 4-player card game that is based in the style of bids and trick-taking, so very similar to euchre, and it is a game based around the concept of trump, and so that is something that you might know of from euchre, or you might know of from something like spades, but essentially, gosh, this is going to be very difficult to explain. Essentially, you have a partner who is the person opposite the table to you, and then the other 2 persons at the table are your opponents sitting across from each other. They are partners. And you only have access to your hand, which is a quarter of the cards. And so you have to communicate using the bidding language of Bridge to try to communicate roughly to your partner where you have good cards and what those good cards might be. And you make a determination as to how many tricks you think cumulatively the 2 of you could take. So it's very similar in that regard to a game like Spades, wherein you literally just say a number and that's the number of tricks you think you can take. But Bridge is a little bit more complicated than that because it's also based on a trump suit. And so the bidding convention is you indicate, as you can see by the flashing number in the upper corner, all the way over there, is both a number and a suit. So you have the option of clubs, diamonds, hearts, spades, or if you're feeling feisty, no trump. What a trump is it's essentially a card that wins. If you have no cards in a suit that has been played for the trick, you can play a trump card in its place and you win the trick. So basically, whenever you play a trick, whoever's turn it is to lead will lead a card, and the highest card of that suit wins, or the highest trump that was played wins. And when you are bidding, like 2 or 4 or whatever many, you are trying to communicate how many of these tricks you think you can win. Bridge is unique because that 1 right there does not actually mean 1. It's exactly like Mewtwo. Can you go into more detail about that valid poison dart frog? It's orange is what I'm saying. Anyway, that 1 doesn't mean 1. because the basic set in bridge is there are 13 tricks in total. 6 of them, there's a name for this, I don't remember, but 6 of them is like a baseline, because that's less than half the tricks, but that's approximately half the tricks. And so 6 is presumed at the outset of a contract. If you have a contract, you must take 6 tricks plus whatever you bid. So if you bid 1 club, for example, you are saying you can take 7 tricks total, with the trump being clubs. If you are bidding 1 no trump, it means you believe that you can take 7 tricks total with no need to use trump, which, you know, most of the world would love to do. Anyway, sorry, it's fine. This isn't political commentary. And so basically, it's complicated, somewhat awful, but the goal is to actually get contracts. And so contracts, there's like a game contract. There's another word I'm forgetting. It's been a while since I learned how to play bridge is the problem. So the words are kind of, But there's like set contracts that are like points awarding fulfillment on the points end of things. So you could bid 1 club, but that's not interesting or useful. You just get like 30 points a trick at that point. But if you bid a certain special number, you get like a bonus if you make it, because it's the fancy number. So the way that Bridge has structured this from a scoring perspective, Bridge is entirely about scoring. I don't know if this is apparent yet, is that no trump is the most expensive bid you can make. It's the highest possible bid you can make because it actually takes the best kind of hand to make. You can't cover your errors with a trump card, like with the 2 of spades, for example, to take a trick. You actually need face cards, aces, kings, queens, jacks. You actually need to be able to cleverly play this kind of stuff. And so no trump is considered the hardest contract, which means it is both the highest suit and also requires the lowest number of taken tricks to succeed at getting a game contract. So a game contract, the word for which I have forgotten, is 3 no trump.
Right.
The major suits are classified as spades and hearts. There's no reason for that other than, because we said so.
Yep.
And so if you are bidding in spades and hearts, those are ranked lower than no trump. You need to bid and take 4 tricks in those to get like a full game contract. And the minor suits are clubs and diamonds. You have to bid 5 in order to get that game winning contract. Now, the ranking matters because as you are bidding in bridge, you have to keep beating whatever the bid is. What if I play Exodia the Forbidden One? Well, then you automatically win the game, sweep the board, and get to keep all of the cards. Obviously. I thought that was basic. I'm sorry, Poison Deathrag. I didn't realize I needed to explain that particular rule as it pertains to bridge. I kind of assumed everyone showing up here would have
know
that one
basic
in the
bridge
bag.
101. Yeah.
Listen, if you were to just shuffle a Yu-Gi-Oh card deck into regular cards and then deal it out like it was bridge, I want to know the chaos. Anyway. So the point is, because you have to keep beating your opponent, you can do that with numbers, but you can also do that with ranking. So the suits are ranked from lowest to highest: clubs, diamonds, hearts, spades, no trump. And if you are bidding a higher suit, you don't actually have to increase the number. But if you're bidding a lower suit, or if you're for some reason bidding the same suit, don't bid the same suit as your opponents, okay? You have to bid a higher number. And so it is through these conventions and conversations that you're having through this bidding language that you try to guess enough of your partner's hand to make a contract with them. If you win the contract, your partner actually doesn't play the round. When the first trick is led, they lay down their hand, and you, as the contract owner, play both of them, which is honestly really helpful towards doing some fancy things, but can sometimes be difficult. And your opponents get lots of points if they can prevent you from making your contract. Anyway, let's dive into, because I'm sure that was the world's most boring explanation. Petulant Cobra, that's a perfect summary. Heckin' Bridge, yep. Fiend Curse. That is how you play this game. So, a convention This is a convention. I'm no longer talking about rules of bridge anymore. There's a massive, very important difference between a rule and a convention, and don't get me started, the trauma. Anyway.
Yeah, you don't dress up all fancy to go to a rule.
Burn every bridge. That's great. Y'all ever play that game I only heard about after I moved to Michigan? Yes. Euchre, that's the one.
Wow.
Cobra.
Even I've played euchre.
I am undefeated at 4 years of university worth of euchre. I won like blind an organized euchre tournament in year 1. And so I explicitly, when they organized the tournament again in year 3, did not play. I chose to be the organizer because I was unbeaten. Anyway, euchre is like a simplified bridge. There's the Cliff's Notes.
Yep. For
bridge. That's a very northern thing. We didn't have it in the South. Valid. Continue. Save!
Oh
yeah, we're going to need to because I'm about to try bidding. So the convention of bridge is basically to kind of get an understanding of your hand before you start bidding so that you can use these conventions of communication. That is not what I wanted to do, but I have learned something. I don't want to have to go through that cutscene again. Amazing. So the conventions are essentially this. I am going to just assign arbitrary points to this hand to determine how many points my hand is worth. And the way I'm going to do that is with the convention of an ace is 4 points, a king is 3, a queen is 2, a jack is 1. That is based on the likelihood that those things will earn me a trick. I will also be using my distribution score. And so that is essentially if you have a suit void, wherein you have not been dealt any cards in a particular suit, you count 3 points. If you have been dealt a singleton and only have 1 card in a suit, that is 2 points. And if you have been dealt a doubleton, like my heart count over there, that is worth 1 point. And so according to
convention,
all of this mess, we have 18 points in this hand, which is pretty good. But I will note something that is very important, which is that one of those points is a distribution point. And when you are counting with an intention of bidding a no trump bid, you shouldn't count your distribution points because those are actually not very helpful to you in no trump. If you lose control, you have to be able to get it back or someone can run out a long suit on you and you just get embarrassed. That has absolutely happened to me and by me on multiple occasions. It's great. Families are amazing. Cobra, wherever that joke lives, it's a fantastic joke. So an 18-point hand with 1 point for distribution is actually quite good, which means I do want to bid. Now, this isn't my favorite kind of bridge hand because I much prefer having like a 5-card suit for a determining factor. Usually when I look at a hand like this, I try to go with length of suit as well as like high cards in suit, depending on what I want to use them for. Calculating.gif.
Hi, RJ.
Hi, RJ. Thank you. Welcome in. Yeah, so Petulant Cobra, what's funny about squeezing it into the processing power of an Atari 2600, I might read this directly because this was so funny to me. They have an explanation as part of the manual as to how your partner bids in Bridge Activision. Your Activision computer bridge partner follows a very precise series of steps when reviewing your bids and selecting his response. These steps are printed here so that you may understand what your partner is thinking and telling you when he bids. We do not recommend that you try to follow these steps yourself when you are playing with a human partner. That is the introduction. And that is twofold. First, it is because they cannot code all of the subtleties of understanding bridge. And so they've actually given me the sheet wherein, like, when I tell him something, I need to be able to look up what his answer means because this is not a human. And so they're not following human convention. And I have already noticed, is robot, I have already noticed one key thing that would really impact my ability to communicate with my robot partner, which is super depressing. Anyway, the other thing that they make very, very clear to say is this will not work in real life scenarios where there are other people at the table, which is amazing to me. So the one thing that I noticed, because there are certain bidding conventions, but they are conventions. Again, the bidding conventions that they have coded the robot to follow are the Stamen Convention and the Blackwood Convention.
These things have names.
These things have names because they're based on famous bridge players. I just literally, you thought you were coming to a kmenzel stream about games. You have actually arrived at a LadyQEW explains the intricacies of card games to you. And so I hope that you are buckled in. It is a large knowledge, kmenzel. Target does not support the Geneva Convention for war crimes. Yes.
Wonderful joke.
That's a very good joke. So the Stamen and Blackwood conventions specifically have to do with high contracts and no Trump. And so we're going to ignore those because I don't care. And I don't like bidding no Trump when I could not bid no Trump. What I noticed, and I am going to blister all of your ears with this before I select a bid. Comic convention? Yes. There is a convention, and I don't know its name because, again, it's been a long time since I've learned the rules of bridge. There is actually a convention for communicating to your partner, not that you have a good hand with lots of high cards, but that you have a long suit. And so if you have 7 or more cards in a suit, if you think that the rest of your hand is vaguely balanced enough, I don't think that it can deal 7 or more cards in a suit unless it's willing to go over a line.
I am curious to see what happens as we deal with future
I will be shocked if we see a future hand with even 5 cards in it. This feels like it's going to be the most boring of all bridge hands, and it will be very rigged. But basically, if you are dealt a hand that has 7 or more cards in one suit, and you overall have like a vaguely good enough hand that you think you can manage and get by, you actually bypass the whole convention of opening one of a suit to chat with your partner, and you start the bidding at 3. And so opening 3 clubs, for example, specifically by this convention communicates to your partner, hey, I don't have a lot of points in my hand, but I have at least 7 cards in clubs. And so we should strongly recommend, because 7 cards, remember, is more than half of the cards in that suit in one hand, which means less than half of those have been distributed around to the other 3 players. And so nearly all of those cards is going to be able to take a trick as long as that gets assigned as Trump. And so that is the convention to communicate, this is Trump. Just tell me how good your hand is. And the computer does not speak that language. It doesn't know that convention. So if I were to be dealt a long suit, I actually have no way to communicate that with this computer. And that's interesting. Some of my first contracts were based on those when I was like 7 or 8 years old and I was learning how to bid and learning how to play. I understood that more than I understood why a queen can have value. I understood that aces had value. That was easy. I even understood sometimes kings did. That was easy. But like the length of suits, click. Like I had that. And a short suit by pointing to my belly button. Very funny. Have I tried going beep beep bloop bloop? I have not.
I think
Let's
beep,
attempt.
Boop boop might consist of table talk, and I think that's not allowed.
That's true. So what's interesting about this is I have the same number of cards in both clubs and spades. So I'm not going to get a lot of use out of my trump as trump cards, which is a little disappointing. And so I think I'm actually going to go with spades because I have the ace, which is the top card there. And so I can guarantee that that will take a trick, but also having a queen 10, that feels useful to me from the euchre perspective of like when you have holes and low distribution in other suits. I see my queen 3 of hearts there, and I might not be able to use the 2 of spades as a trump, but I can almost certainly use the 10 on like hearts as the third go around. So I'm going to try bidding a 1 spade, and we're going to see what it does. Interesting. So it responded with 2 spades. Let's see what that means. Responses to opening bids. First response to what of a suit opening? If the computer's total points are blah, no one wants me to read this out loud. Interesting.
So while she's figuring out what she's going to do, I'm going to mention some things that I've just realized. First of all, the Activision logo spells TV. And I just enjoy that because Activision was making games for your television. So that's pretty fantastic. And also, I like that no Trump is signified by NT because that makes me think of Windows. Also, Poisoned Earthfrog, on the topic of multiple cheeses tasting like less cheese, I had 3 cheese pierogies. Pierogi, I believe, is actually the correct plural, not pierogies. Anyways, I had 3 cheese pierogi, and they tasted like less, they tasted less like cheese than the regular cheddar pierogies that I normally get. And RJ Helms, you do have a point that of all of the people on Twitch, especially in Twitch chat, who want to hear someone read an Atari game manual aloud, most of them are probably here. And that reminds me that somebody was saying on a podcast I was listening to earlier today that your Twitch chat represents your personality.
Aw, my Twitch chat is so nice.
And so my Twitch chat is the kind that would want to read an Atari manual.
Okay, so this is what I've learned. And this is the difficulty. And it having been a long time.
Yes.
It having been a long time since I learned how to play. So what I've learned is that the robot likely has between 6 and 9 nice points in their hand, which kind of makes sense given that I have like 18. That's a lot. And has at least, actually, has more than, and he has more than 2 cards in the suit that I've bid. So this is a very soft indication, I would say, that he's okay with my suit. He's got cards in that suit, but he doesn't have a very strong hand. 6 to 9 points is not the sort of hand you would open a bid on. You probably want like double that if you're going to open a bid, which is why I did with 18 points, but I wouldn't have expected him to. So now I'm sitting here going, there were also conventions from this like system of counting points to play hands. There were conventions based on how many points you roughly needed total between the 2 of you for a contract. And so if he's communicating between 6 and 9 points, if I take the low end of that, that means our low end minimum is about 24. And I don't remember anymore what the thresholds were for contract in a major suit, contract in a minor suit, and contract in no trump in that order. I feel like there's also a Grand Slam point count option. Let's just do the math. There's 10 points per suit, which means there's 40 points total in the entire game. So 35 and up is probably the Grand Slam contract. So a Grand Slam, I should probably specify, a small slam is when you take 6, when you bid and make 6, which is 12 out of 13 of the tricks. And a Grand Slam, like a full slam, is 7, bid and making a contract of 7. You get so many points for being able to do that because it's really difficult. You have to have like all of the good cards, you know? Gosh, I really like bridge. I don't know if this is apparent. It's garbage to teach and garbage to learn, but super, super fun when you understand it. Like, I'm such a bridge nerd. So he's communicated to me roughly 24. So I know we're not in slam territory. I'm not actually sure if we're even in like contract territory, even if we end up winning the bid. Like, I'm pretty confident that I could take 2 spades, but am I confident that I could take 4? And is it worth bidding that? Ugh. I don't think I have it. But this is why there are conventions. They say it cannot be played except by those who already know how to do it. So there are conventions here. Because this exact struggle is a struggle that you can run into, like, a lot in Bridge. Because you're trying to subtly communicate.
The main struggle.
Yeah.
The thrust of the game.
Yeah. If one will, and one might, you can actually, at this point, if I were certain we had enough points for a game contract, I would just bid 4 spades. But if I'm not sure, I can test the waters by bidding 3 spades to actually ask him to be the one to decide, to say, like, hey, I think we're pretty close, but you know that you've communicated very little to me, and you've communicated a bit of a range. Are you on the high end of that range? If you're on the high end of that range, maybe we can do a game contract. But if you're not, if you're on the low end of that range, just pass. Just pass. And so if I were playing a human, that's what I would do. Let's see what happens when I try it with a game. That was confusing formatting, but I understood it.
P for pass.
Okay, so we passed. What is the -9? Oh, that's how many tricks I have left to take. He's got 5 spades, and he's got the king. Okay, so my opponents have made a really, really stupid play here. So my partner has now laid down his hand because we won the contract. We won the bidding. I don't think the other players were bidding. I think it is only us. And because I am the one who introduced the suit, I am the one who owns the game contract. There is specific coding. They made it explicit in here. My partner, this robot partner, he will never start bidding. Because if he starts bidding and we win a contract, then he's the one who owns it, and my hand is the one that gets not played, and that's not a game.
There's no way that they can do the AI for that.
They can't do the AI for that. However, this is a very key error, because unlike in euchre, where there is a lot of reason to sometimes want to pull trump and to sometimes not want to pull trump, because there's not a lot of anything on either side, in Bridge, if you were in an advantageous position, you almost always want to pull trump. So there's a few really cool interactions that are happening in this hand, and I will explain them to you because you are trapped here with me. So my Queen of Hearts, my Queen of Hearts is not covered. And by that I mean she doesn't have 2 back from her to cover the ace and to cover the king. She's going to end up getting played, theoretically, on either the ace or king when it takes the trick. My partner has the king. And he's got 2 back. Which means I could cover the ace with throwing out like the 4 from his hand and the 3 from my hand. And then I can actually win with the queen and throw the 5 from his hand and still have the top heart, which is pretty cool. This is one of the reasons why distribution matters. I had been hoping to use that as trump, but I'm going to have the high card in that suit for 2 out of 3 of the rounds that it can be played. So I'm unlikely to be able to trump on that. Why would I waste a trump when my partner's the one with the king? So that's unlikely. Other cool thing to note, he's got 5 spades to my 4. That means we have 9 of the spades. And he's got the king, which means we have the top 3 of those spades. So 9 and 13. That means there's 4 trump that I don't know where they are right now.
And in fact, we know where one of them
And
is.
this
Can a
dude
kangaroo
has
jump higher than the
foolishly...
Empire State Building? Of course. The Empire State Building can't jump.
Thanks for redeeming Recycled Joke, Poison Darth Frog. That was
beautiful.
Beautiful.
This foolish mortal has led one of my 4 trump cards.
Yep.
That I'm missing. Which means if his partner has any trump, it will draw that. And I will either know at the end of this trick whether I have a somewhat even split, or like if this partner throws off instead of playing a spade right now, I'll know that that guy who led has all 4 of them. Like, there's so much information he's about to give me, and he's doing it stupidly because I don't need to care about the second part of a trick. I don't need to play that king. I don't even need to play that 8 because my hand is hidden, which means in theory, unless they've programmed the robots to know all of this, in theory, the person who plays third doesn't know what I have, and so is going to be forced to play whatever his highest trump is, which means I might even pull the jack. Do you see what a dumb move this was? And if I don't pull the jack, I can take it with the 10. This guy has done my job for me. This is okay, so there's this thing in bridge called a finesse, which has to do with having the finesse to get a card that you didn't deserve. And that has to do with doing something like this 7, okay, I'm gonna play the 3. Let's see if I can finesse the jack. Because if you play the jack, I cover it with the queen. And if you don't play the jack, I just win the trick.
Yep.
Like, he's just done all the work. Settle that, Beavis. Welcome in. It's lovely to have you. Welcome to LadyQEW Rants About Bridge for as long as kmenzel allows.
This is why I got LadyQEW to play bridge, because I can give you none of this content. I would just beep, boop, 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 boop.
I mean, that would be fun on its own. Bridge is the best game. Where's my mother? I need to play bridge. Anyway.
So you're going to play the 3?
I'm going to play the 3. I assume pressing A will play the card.
Yes.
And moving the joystick will allow me to select other things. Okay. It does not understand up and down right now. Right. No, that's because I have to play within the suit.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm certain that will be a thing that I can test later. So I'm going to play the 3. You might think if you are a euchre player that I could play the 8 right now and force them to play something higher. But it's like super not necessary in bridge because there's just so many cards in the suit. And so unlike euchre where that immediate covering can matter, it doesn't matter as much on the second one. Oh, hey, look, I finessed the jack. I will take this trick. Thank you.
And then
I lead, but I don't know how. I think I'm probably going to have to press A again to clear the trick.
I will read a manual.
Please do.
Because this is where you could, like, probably do the thing.
I think replaying the hand is only something you can do at the end of the hand.
That's true.
And so I think I'm going to try pressing A to see if it clears the trick. Whoever wins... Okay.
Okay, yes. If after all 4 hands have played their cards in a trick, the card that took the trick will start flashing. If your team took the trick, the number of tricks remaining to make your contract will decrease, or your over tricks will increase. If you've already made your bid. After you've reviewed the trick, press the joystick button again to take the cards off the table.
Beavis and Cobra are being funny. So, the way the leading convention works, this is very similar to, like, euchre has a dealer, and the person to the left of the dealer always plays first, no matter who wins. But bridge, the convention is actually specifically based on who wins the trick. Whoever sits in between the owner and the dummy hand on their left leads. And so that is why the player to the left side of the screen led the first trick. And then from that point, much like euchre or any other trick-based game, whoever wins leads. So I'm going to press A to clear this, and now I can lead whatever I want. Thing is, gosh, I just have so many good hands right now. I've found 2 of my 4 missing trump. So I'm going to lead the 2. And I'm going to lead the 2 for a very specific reason. And that reason is I have some good clubs, but I don't have the ace. And so I don't want to lead clubs from my hand. That's another one of those like finesse maneuvers. Because if the ace, there's a 50-50 chance that the ace lives with the guy sitting to my left in play order, and a 50-50 chance that it sits to the guy on my right. And if it sits with the guy on my right, and I lead from the dummy board, like the dummy hand across the board from, it's called the board, sorry. The dummy hand, once it's laid down, is called the board. So if I lead from the board, there's a 50-50 chance that the guy with the ace has to play second, and he'll have to choose whether or not to play his ace or whether to go low. And if I then play my king or my queen, I will either have one of them taken by the ace with the 4th player, or I will learn where that ace is. And I can go back and I can lead again from the board. I hope, eventually. There's a strategy in bridge, and I don't have a lot of routes to the board, which makes this difficult. There's a strategy in bridge of basically trying to finagle which hand is leading to your best advantage. And so being able to take things on the board matters. There is only one trick I can guaranteed take on the board right now, and that's the king of spades. I want to make the king of hearts something that I can take on the board, but that's going to take some gameplay in hearts, and that's going to take a hot minute. So I'm going to still continue to pull trump, and the reason I'm going to do that is I'm looking at ace jack 2 of diamonds, 10 9 5 of diamonds. If I'm clever about stealing a queen or a king, I might be able to take a couple diamonds tricks, but I don't want to run the risk of running out someone's suit so that they start trumping me.
Yeah.
I want them to have to discard on those. So I'm going to lead the 2 of spades. That guy has thrown a club. So that tells me that I had a 3-1 split in my 4 trump cards. And so I drew 2 of them, and I'm going to draw 1 more, but the guy sitting to my right is going to still have a trump at the end of this. So let me tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to play the 8, because one of the trumps that I'm missing is the 9.
Mm-hmm.
A club, you say? Indeed, indeed. LadyQEW whack. I think I'm going to leave him with his trump for now. Sorry, how do I not lead a spade?
Maybe go around keep going left?
Yes, okay, thank you. Because I want to do what I said I was going to do, which is lead a club. Ooh, the 9.
Ice hockey will come, Poison Dart Frog, don't you worry.
Okay, so the ace does live over there. That's fine, because the 9 has come out, which means that 10 and that 8 of clubs are worth the same. There's nothing in between them anymore. And so I have king 10 8, and I'm only missing the jack. Ooh. Oh, this is tricky. A jack lead in hearts kind of implies he doesn't have the ace. I am not going to cover it, and I'm not going to cover it because if Buddy on the right side doesn't play the ace, I'll just take it with my queen. And so this jack has just finessed an ace for me, essentially.
Because the king and the queen are
because the king's over there.
Functionally identical.
Yeah, king and queen are functionally identical. And so if jack gets played, this is an attempt to baldly finesse my king. He's played that jack so that I'll cover it with the king, so that hopefully his partner will play the ace and I'll have wasted this delightful king on the board. But unfortunately, I have the queen, which is equivalent to the king. And you can't see that because it's in my hand. And so, like, they don't know. If the ace doesn't get played, I will win. So I'm going to throw low. And the ace got played. And so effectively, that was the jack and the ace gone in one trick. And now my king queen there are high. And you
just led with the
9.
That's the last trump, right?
That's the last trump. Why are you pulling your own trump?
Fascinating.
Their coding is so bad.
Why are giraffes so slow to apologize? Because it takes them a long time to swallow their pride.
Okay, that's fantastic, but also,
welcome in, Plum.
Is that not this? Oh,
no, it's different.
It is different.
Kangaroo.
We had kangaroos.
There's
and now
still
giraffes.
savanna animals. Plum, welcome to this jail cell of LadyQEW talking about Bridge, because I am so happy. So happy. Bridge is great. Anyway, I literally can't not take it. I'm not playing that, okay? So all the Trump are now gone.
And you have the highest 2 cards left in hearts.
I have the highest 2 cards left in hearts. But I don't have an easy way to get back to the board. I have thought of something clever. So I'm going to lead my Queen of Hearts right now. Stop playing those Trump on stream. Yes. So I'm going to lead the Queen of Hearts right now. And then that's going to leave me in a bit of a bind because I won't have any hearts left to lead to that king on the board. But that's okay because...
Oh, no. In this case, LadyQEW gets to enjoy
the Bridge
game. Moderate Atari card games.
It's been a long time since I've played Bridge. So basically, I'm going to lead the Queen right now. And then I want to lead the King of Hearts from the board, but I can't just magically do that. I'm not on the board. I'm in my hand with the lead. And so what I'm then going to do is I'm going to lead the King of Clubs because this is a sport of the mind. Because the King of Clubs we know is the top club. We pulled the Queen and also like a 9 or some jazz. I don't remember. Ooh, I'm not counting my cards well. That's not great. But I know King is high. And that's what's important because there's a 3 of clubs sitting on that board that I need to cover with the King. But then I can actually lead either the 10 or the 8 of clubs and trumpet from the board to get the lead back on the board if I want it. To lead the King of Hearts, for example. So I'm going to lead the Queen of Hearts from my hand right now, just so that I'm not in a sticky bind of accidentally ending up on the board. Yeah, and I think I want to be on the board anyway, because I want to lead the King of Hearts, take that trick, and then I actually want to try finessing either the King or Queen of Diamonds by leading the 10 from the board, see if a King or Queen gets played on it, and if so, cover it with my ace. So that's a position of strength on the finesse, because I know where the ace is, but neither of my opponents do. And so it's not like when one of them led a jack and I was like, well, I know where both the king and queen are. And so I know he's going to have to play the ace. It's not going to work. Like there's some mind games going on. There are always mind games going on. It's very like euchre in that respect.
Mind / computer games.
Beep, beep, boop, boop.
Ooh.
Oh, he doesn't have any clubs over there. Well, the good news is we pulled Trump. The 10 and the 8 are of the same value because the 9 is gone, I remember. And so that's fun because that means I'm pulling the jack and I'm trumping over it, which means that 10 is now high.
Yep.
My gosh, am I even going to need to finesse some of this stuff? The 10 is high, which means I'm going to discard this 2 of diamonds. I don't need that. Okay, so I don't either their coding is bad,
which it might be,
or that guy doesn't have either the king or the queen of diamonds, which means I might lose a trick. One trick. Hi, Kate Bloomer.
Hi, Kate. Yes, I might Activision Atari games.
I could have small slammed this. Anyway, I'm gonna take that. That's just gonna be mine. I'm gonna lead this. And now I am stuck. It's a little bit inefficient because I do have diamonds in both hands. And so one of the other things that you can do with your distribution, obviously, as in euchre, is you can cover your weaknesses from the perspective of going, oh, if I didn't have these 2 diamonds left, I could lead to trump on my board and lead back to trump in my hand, but they're both diamonds, so that's unfortunate. So I'm just going to take the last trick I can take. I took 1 over, which means I could have made a game contract of 4 spades, but I didn't know that. He did have the king. He had the king.
He had the king the whole time.
They don't know the rules. We're doing great, Kate Bloomer. I am having the nerdiest of nerd moments because I truly love the card game Bridge. I adore the card game Bridge. And, like, I never get to play it. And so now I'm playing it with a robot after having forcibly locked all of you into a Twitch chat room with me, making you listen to my explanation of the rules, which was way longer than it needed to be. And then my explanation of the conventions, which also maybe didn't even need to exist. And then my explanation of my strategy. Anyway, I love Bridge. Nice to see you. Total guess. Beavis, I run into that problem a lot. The number of times I've been shopping for pots, and like I know some pots and liters and some pots and quarts, and I'm just like, listen. No, it's not euchre. You're right, Kate Bloomer. Though I did use euchre as an analogy. The explanation couldn't be that bad. I'm sorry. Bridge is euchre on steroids. It is euchre, but worse. It is euchre, but with all 52 cards. Anyway. Though, to be fair, the jacks don't magically become something else. So there is that going for it. I think this Bridge is my special interest, okay? I do love Bridge. Actually, more than that, I find Bridge interesting. I find it fascinating.
So if you want to play a new hand, you just continue on this P.
Oh, so I just press the go button again? Which bridge do you love? Well, it depends. Which of them are on fire now? Landed Bridge is not my hand.
I think in terms of bridges, I like the sort of like season 7, really, Star Trek The Next Generation Enterprise Bridge.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because they really refined the design by that point. So you have a lot of hearts.
But I only have 15 points.
This is true.
And I also don't have the Ace of Hearts. Mackinac is my favorite bridge. There's a covered bridge in New Brunswick. That's really nice. That has a name.
Confederation Bridge is nice. It connects PEI to the rest of the country.
That's true. I am also a fan of a bridge. I see what you did there. Does anyone have any guesses as to what I might try bidding? Actually, here we go. Teaching moment. kmenzel.
I think you'll bid 1 heart.
Okay. How many points do I have in my hand?
No idea.
Were you listening when I explained the points?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wasn't remembering.
Okay. An ace is worth 4, a king is worth 3, a queen is worth 2, a jack is worth 1, a void is worth 3, a singleton is worth 2, and a doubleton is worth 1.
And those are distribution points, and they are different than the actual value points.
Same, Beavis. That makes sense.
Most of our Star Treks are on Crave in Canada, so we can avoid
Prince Edward on his
Paramount
stick.
Plus.
So even though you weren't listening to the point count, you are correct as to what my bid is going to be. Because I have 5 cards in hearts, and I've got a couple of higher cards. You know, I'm pretty happy with it. What I note is that I only have, I think, about 14 points in this hand. Maybe 15. 1 second. I have 15. And so that's reasonable for opening in a major suit, but that's weaker than my last hand. So I'm aware of that. I have a pretty good guaranteed trick in clubs. I have a definite guaranteed trick in diamonds as long as nobody's got a void. And like with me sitting there with a doubleton, it's pretty unlikely that someone else is sitting there with a void. Or at least it would be if any of these robots knew how to bid if they had 7 or more cards in their suit. Anyway, moving on.
Well, especially since they don't seem to bid at all.
That's true. so we really don't know what they have.
Yeah.
My opponents could be hiding the best hands ever. Anyway, hearts is definitely my best suit, so I'm going to throw 1 hearts. Spades is a weakness, and that's unfortunate. So we'll see what he responds with. I am unsurprised by that for some reason.
You want the other side, I think?
I know how to explain this to a human player, not to a robot. And so I don't know what its conventions are, and this matters.
Hey, I'm a little T-Pat. Nice to see you.
Welcome in. Yes, yes. My favorite game company, starting with A.
And
After
it
Atari.
did come after Atari.
That's true, it did. Okay. So the issue that I'm running into here is my partner has bid the only suit that I'm not okay with. Anything else I could work with. Not spades. Because my spades are bad.
Yep.
And so to a human player, what I would say intrinsically, before even thinking about it, is 1 no trump. And what that literally communicates by convention to most bridge players is, definitely not spades. I will do anything but spades. But if you promise me you have spades covered, I think we've got all suits covered. Which I kind of think we do. And so I just need to know if the robot is coded to understand this as a response to mean, listen, I have no help for you in spades. Because if he's not...
He is going to be estimating how many points you have. He's not going to...
Hi, Buttons!
The computer will not understand anything about your...
Robots are bad at bridge.
Yeah. It'll understand that your minimum maximum point range is 13 to 15 if you go cheapest, no trump, second bid.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. It's not going to understand anything about suits.
Okay.
There's no way to indicate, I think, anything
Yeah, there's
about
no way
suits.
to indicate that.
So...
You know what? I'm going to do it, and we're going to see what chaos that at bridge... Nope, not an emote. That's a shame. Oh. It's not going to understand me. 2 hearts. Okay, and so what this communicates to me as a human, knowing it is a robot, I have no idea. This is communicating that it's like, no trump is not the game, it's not the play, I'd rather go with your suit. Specifically, what's interesting is that it could have said 2 spades there, and it didn't. And so what this has communicated to me is, we don't have a well-matched hand. Like, what I want and what he wants, totally different, like, lived experiences. It's fine. We're polar opposites in our hands. But he would rather that I choose hearts than that he insist on spades. So he trusts my saying I ain't got spades. Anyway, that's what I would assume if this were a human.
It doesn't really get into the details of what it looks like after first response. So
I think it means he only has 2 hearts. Like, only 2 hearts in his hand, and probably neither of them high. Which is getting things to be a little tricky. Like,
Yep.
It's tricky. Because... we've got some points, but I really don't know what I can count on from him. I'm like eating jelly beans. I was going to say like they're candy, but they are. But like they're keeping me sane while I'm arguing with a robot about the rules of bridge. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, because that's what I think is correct bridge bidding. And I'm going to volley to him and ask him whether he thinks we can make contract in this. Isn't a robot what you call a droid in a boat? I understand.
Nice
I
Plumberry.
understand. I misread that like twice and was very confused. So this is me asking him if we have contract, and that's him saying no because he doesn't understand that language. What? He's got all the clubs.
Well,
he's even got my Queen of Hearts. Why did he bid a spade? Sorry, hearts is our contract.
Yep.
What is he trying to communicate with me? I'm sorry. Someone hit the redeem rant button right now. He had 4 cards in hearts and he didn't respond with a bid of 2 hearts to me? He bid 2 spades. Sorry, he bid 1 spade. Thank you for redeeming Gain Knowledge Small. Please gain the knowledge of what he thinks he means when he's saying one of the other major suit.
It doesn't say.
It's one of the like myriad of things.
But that's only based on
know.
first opening bids.
Because he's got 11 points, which means we have 26 together. We totally had enough points for a major contract again. That was a miscommunication, chat. That was a clean miscommunication. I said 1 heart, and this guy up here, with this hand, said 1 spade. Why would you want spades? You've got 3 to the king. That is 1 guaranteed trick in spades, and also kind of a guarantee that at least one of your opponents is going to have more of them than you. You don't even have the most trump. You're right. It is definitely to dig a hole. Like, he should have been supporting my hearts.
Yep.
Why didn't he say 2 hearts? I would have understood if he'd said 2 hearts. Was he trying to show me he had more than 6 to 9 points? Because the 6 to 9 point range is the point range where you just respond with 2. And that's why I overture ask with 3 to say, do you maybe have more than 6 to 9 points? And you say 4 if you do have more than 6 to 9 points.
You may have been doing a cheapest bid of cheapest suit.
Okay.
Which would have been
correct.
10 to 12 points, length under 5 cards.
Okay. Like, he did communicate that, but length of what under 5 cards? Because not of the suit he bid, I'll tell you what.
Yep.
Garbage. No wonder he responded to my 1 no trump bid with 2 hearts.
Yep.
I am unhappy with how that communication has gone. If this were a human, I would have discussions with them for after. Anyway.
But at least you could win.
Yeah, but I could have got a game contract and also won.
Yeah.
So let's study this for a minute. This is falling apart like a house of small, thin bricks made of cards. Yes. So I just want to think about this for a minute to kind of plan my strategy. The first trick in bridge always takes the longest because it's when the partner with contract is trying to cover their losses, basically. So I have no useful way to force the ace of spades, which means I'm highly liable to lose that king unless they just lead the ace of spades at some point. So spades is definitely a huge weakness for me, but I probably can't lose more than 3 tricks in spades, but I can only lose 4 tricks total overall and still make my contract. And so I know I'm going to lose the top trump because I don't have the ace of hearts in between my hand and my board. And so the
what's
ace...
up, Willis? You've missed
a
lot of bridge.
So much angry LadyQEW ranting / happy LadyQEW ranting. The first trick is the longest, baby, that's bridge. It's okay, Willis. I haven't played bridge in a long time and I know way too much about bridge. It is absolutely one of my pure loves of a card game. So I've been explaining it all night while kmenzel sits here smiling.
Sometimes it's important to hire an expert.
Did you hire me? Am I getting paid for this?
Sure. How about the proportion of any money that Twitch gives us for this stream will go into our bank account.
He hired me with love. That's accurate.
I think theoretically, if I paid her for this, then the government would get angry about taxes.
That's true. So our clubs are really solid because we've got the top 5 clubs, but we can only take 4 tricks with them because we only have 4 tricks. Like, I only have 4 clubs, and so I can't cover non-existing clubs. And that's fine. Diamonds, we only have 1 guaranteed trick. If I can finesse a king or queen, I might get a second. Maybe. It's unlikely, but I might. I think that would involve leading from the board twice. There's a world.
That's a good point.
We could just do it on her channel. Valid. There's a world where what I want to do is be on the board after this trick.
Mm-hmm.
Lead a diamond, see if I can finesse a king or queen, though they don't seem to play by that convention, which is annoying. But see if I can finesse a king or queen and cover it with the ace, and then get back to the board and lead another diamond to see if I can, like, trick them somehow.
Mm-hmm. Have fun with the potato. So you're gonna go jack then?
I'm either going to go jack or ace. It doesn't really matter. I
They're
have
all the
ace,
same,
jack,
yeah.
king, queen, 10. They're all the same value. 3 winners are in my hand. 2 are on the board. I think I'm most concerned about the spades, though.
Yeah.
This is difficult. I don't have a lot of ways to get in between the board and my hand again, which is the biggest problem in bridge. I'm thinking of leading the jack.
Yep.
But the problem is I really also want to just fake it till I make it in spades and lead the 4 and just play the 8 on card 3 and pray the ace comes out somehow.
You could try that too.
That is a deep finesse. That is like a listen.
Probably not going to work on this version of
Absolutely
bridge,
not, because these are not humans.
They are not.
And they don't act like humans. So I'm going to lead the jack and see if I can do to them what they were trying to do to me last game in hearts. I am just ignoring Trump, however.
Yep.
As one does. Sorry. And that's important, because again, there are 9... Okay. I'm going to try to finesse the diamond first, and then I'll try to deal with Trump when I get back control, because I don't have a lot of roots between my hand and the board. There are, again, 4 Trump cards that I'm missing, but one of them is the ace. I have to remember that. And so I will lose a Trump trick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, that would be great. I do just notice there's a very unfortunate cultural issue with the terminology of bridge right now, because, like, Trump as the concept, like the idea of a suit that is called a Trump suit because it trumps whatever else you played, is just the only name for it in all card games. And now this orange man has ruined my ability to talk about card games that I love by being more present in the public mindset than card games, so that when I say the word Trump, you hear it as his name instead of in the context that I'm just so mad at him. Put him in jail. Man, this is rude. Is finesse a bridge term my grandmother never used? Yes. Finesse is a general cards term. It's not specific to bridge, but basically finessing is, like, it's just the word. Finessing as an art is essentially tricking your opponents into believing you have something that you don't, or into playing something that you want them to play at a time that's to your advantage and not to theirs. And so a successful finesse would be if I play this jack and either the king or queen lands on it, and then I cover it with the ace. That would be one example of a successful finesse. Now, this in particular is a deep finesse because there's both the king and the queen that could cover this jack. So there's 2 cards, not 1, which makes my odds a little worse. But if I play that jack and it does not get covered by either the king or queen, another successful finesse is if I play the 7 of diamonds and I win the trick. Because that means both the king and the queen were on one side. And so it is it's a fencing term, essentially, to say I scored a point off of you, even though you had the better cards, you know? Also can't talk about trumpets. Amazing. I'm going to try this, though. They didn't bite. So that is a failed finesse because I doubled down on it. I was like, listen, you can have this, and either the king or queen was on the other side. It's really low odds that that would have worked. I have played bridge with a very small number of people. I know that a finesse is referenced in Hoyle. Oh, right. Yay, you're leading clubs again. I think he doesn't have a lot of clubs. I think I'm going to need to draw trump soon.
Oh, nice, Buttons. That is an excellent hoard.
Woo! Okay, so enough with this finessing. I have trump to draw. Oh, just immediately. Ace, there we go.
Nice.
I hope that doesn't mean they only have 1. So that's 4 of the trumps. Oh, I'm sorry. Why were you just leading clubs obsessively when you didn't even have, you weren't even short in them? That's such a weird choice. I should have thought about where I wanted to be. Oh, an even split. A 2-2 split. I was missing 4 trump cards. There were 2 each on either side.
Nice.
It's fantastic, actually. I'll take it there. See, this is difficult. I, again, don't have any way of covering my spades, but it doesn't really matter because I'm still going to make what I bid, regardless. But these are the strategies that show you whether or not you're able to make a grand slam or a full contract or any of those things, because I don't have any ways of covering my losing spade tricks. I have 2 losing spade tricks minimum, possibly as many as 3. And I can't do anything about them. I'm not short in either suit. I don't have better cards. And I can't throw them on something else. Even if I play this king right now, I get the opportunity to throw away a card from my board by playing this king of clubs right now. But what am I going to throw? I'm just throwing spades. It's not going to gain me anything to do that. I don't remember if the 10 of diamonds is high anymore or not. That's fine. I want to use it as a throw me stuff. That was in fact the last club. I knew that. Ooh, gingerbread house perler bead kit. Okay. Instead of keeping it simple, I'm going for 3D again and trying to make it load bearing to boot buttons. That is a task. I support you.
Nice.
Ooh, fancy names. You just need to make what you bid right. Correct. So it depends on how hefty you go into the scoring, Willis, but that's a great question. I love having someone who has some understanding of bridge here. That's a very good question. So basically, you do only need to make what you bid. Your over tricks, you get points for them. But it's something like you get 100 points for a trick that you bid that you take, and you get 30 for a trick that you didn't bid but you took over. And so it's better if you can bid accurately because you get the most points. But you also get points for having a game contract bid, which is 5 in a minor suit, 4 in a major suit, or 3 in no trump. Or you get points for having a slam bid, 6 or 7 if you make those. And so it is better overall for your point scoring, not just to bid accurately and take those things, but also to bid game contracts. And so often the reason people go down in bridge and end up giving points over to their opponents is because they push for that extra trick and can't find it. And so if you, like me, we were sitting at 3 hearts and I was like, hey, do we have what we need to make game and do 4 hearts? And my partner passed because my partner is a robot and my partner doesn't know how to answer that question and doesn't even know that that's the question that I'm asking. My partner passed. So we don't have a game contract. We would need 4. Based on this, I don't know if I could make 4. I'm guaranteed 3. I need to be lucky with the ace of spades in order to make 4. Speaking of being lucky with the ace of spades, that was a successful finesse. Sorry, I'm really pleased about that. Higher numbers makes you more points unless you fail. Exactly. And then it makes your enemy points. Sitting at 3 hearts, should we go 4 hearts and mumbled Zelda? So this was a successful finesse. And what's interesting is it worked. I led low. And in theory, the opponents can see the board. And so they know I don't have the ace on the board. This is not the direction you're supposed to finesse, chat. I'm supposed to finesse into my hand. And so if the person on the left has the ace, they are choosing whether or not to play it immediately. They're like, either I am winning this trick by playing the ace, at which point she'll be able to throw a low card. She's not going to waste her king on it. Or I can play low and act like I don't have the ace and see if she'll still play the king or if she'll be too worried that my partner will take it and so she'll still throw low and we'll get to take it on a 10 or something like that. But I called his bluff. He didn't play the ace, but I was like, I was always going to play the king. I'm going with rolling the 50-50 on which one of y'all has the ace, and I was right. And so my king took a trick when it really had no business doing so. I had no way to force that ace. So that was very lucky. It is also considered a successful finesse in bridge. Whether or not I really intended to do it is moot. Anyway, I'm a great bridge player. I'm so much better than this robot computer. Okay. And that means I can cover my spade. Wait, this 10 might not be good. No, I was going to trump this 10. Yeah, we still have a king. That's fine.
Yep.
This means I'm going to make 1 over trick, exactly the same as last game, which means I could have gone to contract. I just don't know how to, like, game contract. I just don't know how to communicate with my robot partner. I'm sorry, Mr. Robot Partner. I don't understand. Does kmenzel get to rant too?
Oh, when we get to skiing.
Oh no. Is that what we're going to do next?
Yep.
I was going to make you play a hand. You could tell me what you wanted to do. I love bridge so much. Don't make me play something else.
It's all right, chat. I'm sure we can find a way for LadyQEW to get like a bridge app on her phone or something.
Did he literally just... Why are they throwing spades?
Because spades what they have?
I guess because their highest cards are... They wanted to keep particular spades. That's very, very silly. Anyway, I made an over trick again. Hurrah! Yeah. And so this was the setup at the beginning of the hand. This is what I was bidding with. I will complain until the cows come home about the ridiculousness that was this bidding experience. But that's the thing that's difficult about coding a bridge game, right? Like, it's not very difficult. And it's why there are so many different versions of hearts or spades or euchre that you can get for your phone that are just robots playing everything else. Because other than the bidding, the actual system of leading and taking tricks and trumping when you can, and even finessing to a certain extent, that those are actually very simple things to code in. Like the play is very simple. The strategy can be complex. And so the more difficult a game's strategy, the more coding that takes. But the bidding system in Bridge is basically impossible to code. Like, they already have. They had to simplify that so much by not letting your opponents bid at all, because the rules that they were able to code into your partner who is answering you directly, if they were to code anything similar into your opponents, they'd be talking over each other constantly. It would be a mess. Like, I don't know how you do it. And so I don't know how you'd actually code a good Bridge game.
I think it's pretty instructive already that if you noticed the screen of Bridge, let me just go back to that for a second. Like, for all that this is, you'll notice that it doesn't actually get to the top and bottom of the screen. It's sort of cut off, and it's not drawing anything right at the top and the bottom of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's because it needs to have time to do CPU logic, and I'm guessing that it was fitting the CPU logic into those lines that it wasn't filling with blue and white.
That's fascinating.
And also, as you can see on this imitation CRT, it probably would have been cut off anyways. So skiing is another Activision launch. I mean, like, I'm calling this a launch title because this is an Activision first year title. And skiing is a game where if you've ever played something like Ski Free, which is my favorite skiing game, which was a game that was released with the Wing framework, the WinG framework. Anyways, what you're trying to do is either a downhill ski or a slalom ski. The slalom is a little bit easier to understand. Go through the various flags until you get to the bottom of the hill, and then you've done the thing.
Hooray.
So
my favorite skiing game is Winter Olympics Salt Lake City. Valid.
This is probably less
I've
advanced.
played a thing once.
So basically, there are a variety of games in this, as always, which are different difficulty levels. We can start with one.
Baby.
And so you're just trying to get down the hill.
Oh my gosh.
And if you go straight down, you go faster.
I don't want to go faster.
And so you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I'm very good at driving.
Yep.
I assure you that's the wrong way. I have been crushed.
And so sometimes you get crushed by...
I'm really good at driving up until I start overthinking my directions. Oh, that was close enough to a tree to get absolutely
That was close
rocked
enough.
by it.
Yes.
No, I went the wrong way again. Got crushed by a flag.
And yeah, it's honestly, I think one of the things that Activision did really well on the 2600 is just better graphics than Atari was doing.
No, why do I keep going the wrong way?
And
I'm just gonna hit this tree.
You can only hit the tree once.
I'm gonna keep hitting the tree forever.
And so if you just press again, you'll reset, I believe.
Why does it say 20 now?
Because there are 20 gates that it wants you to get through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So even in their, what was that, a baseball game they were advertising? The attention to graphics was better.
The changing sprites are really cool buttons. You're right. The diagonal. Oh my gosh. I don't know why that happens. My mind does not have the correct understanding of left and right for this, okay? We're just gonna have to be okay with that. No, go this way.
And Petulant Cobra says that he thought you were the master of diagonals.
No! I went
And so I'm going to try...
I'm great with diagonals. I'm not so great with lefts and rights.
I think if I go to game 3...
Or maybe I'm only the master of competitive diagonals.
There's... Oh my gosh, this got a lot faster. Ah!
They do really help give you a sense of position and direction, and it also helps that you're not, like, just whipping down the hill.
Although... Are you not just whipping down the hill? Oh my gosh. Well, missed one. Oops. If you press the button at any time, it resets, apparently.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see.
Fascinating.
It's really cool sprite work. I particularly love the trees.
The trees are very stylistic. I didn't mean to reset.
And the sprites fall.
Yeah, the sprite fall is great.
It looks like a tree. Like when I first hit the tree, I was like, why did I give that tree a trunk? And then I got up again and was like, oh, that was me. I see what you did there. Thanks for that.
Oh my gosh.
One tree, different colors. It looks like a helicopter. Wait, the tree does? Or like the sprite when you completely wrecked yourself? Because that's pretty valid.
Whew.
It looks like a genuine ski accident.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also valid. When sprite fall down.
Let's
Thank
try
you for clarifying.
4.
Thankfully, kmenzel understood. 50?
50 gates.
That is a lot of gates.
So the interesting thing on
Are any of them
modes,
named Phil?
Game modes 1 through 4, there are static mountains that you can basically learn.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh.
But then
And then game mode 5 gives you a random like expert level.
That's amazing.
Every time you reset, it's a different.
I need to stop eating sugar. I'm not going to sleep, but I want to eat the sugar. Procedurally generated. Fancy indeed.
Fancy as heck.
Patches and Cobra, thank you for redeeming
Although,
Hydrate.
honestly, I would imagine that procedurally generated would be harder. No, procedurally generated would be easier than statically setting this. I am missing so many of these gates. I am going to get a bad score. I
almost said, Cobra, oh my gosh, it's blurred by Pikachu glass. Is it against the TOS? Look at that.
4 gates missed. So.
It's not blurring my hands, but it's blurring the glass.
They really don't give you the next gate with much chance to see it. You're right. And yes, it is blurring your glass.
Thank you for understanding, Cobra. I really did almost say thanks for redeeming Hydrate for 69 channel points. Nice. And you did it. Dehydrate's 96.
That's true. So downhill skiing, I don't know what it is, but apparently if you hit the white snow, this is just what?
You trip?
I think you just get to go downhill.
Listen. That's
without
amazing.
any gates as fast as possible.
Oh, I'm looking at it upside down. Am I?
And so these again are static maps, static mountains. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can jump.
How?
Okay.
Using what?
A.
A doesn't reset you anymore?
No, on this one, it makes me jump.
It makes you hop.
We're going to learn a little bit about this.
Okay. No, I messed up the lore. What shame. That's all right.
I jumped over that thing.
You're in the right channel for it. Because this isn't the lore of this channel.
That's true.
Thank you for
I don't know if I should be
demonstrating
jumping
valid.
all of these.
You think you've played this, Willis? I mean, it looks pretty baller.
Oops, I jumped onto the hill.
That is not correct.
And so I don't think I'm going to be unlocking any. I'm just going to go to the most expert of these.
It was
things.
blurring the sheet instructions too. I had kind of seen that a little bit. Is it gonna? It was blurring my fingers earlier.
It really blurs
as well,
anything that
I went
NVIDIA
to say
doesn't
like
think.
hello, and there you go. See, I'm giving bunny ears, and it's blurred them because they're too close to the duck.
So yes, what's up, Willis? This was on Atari. Oops, you can't jump over a tree.
I know, it's so obscene. Bunny ears, the most obscene. I can also imagine the skier sprite blowing people's minds, especially given what we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
In some of the sprite work up to this point.
I just want to remember that what do you call it?
It does look like a helicopter more and more. If it hadn't crashed into the tree the first time, I don't think I would have seen it, but it was perfectly placed to be like a trunk with a hollow and branches.
Oh my
and
gosh.
so I just thought it was. But it looks a lot like a helicopter. He's racing to the Activision logo.
Yeah.
He'll never make it.
The downside of this game compared to
Is the
something
hill?
like Ski Free is the hill. That's very funny. There's nothing to chase you in this game after you get past the finish line. And so I will give +1 to Microsoft on Ski Free. But maybe with Microsoft's purchase of Activision, we can see some, maybe they can refresh this IP and we can get a HD remake.
Nice. Skiing to when?
I'm thinking that's, I think.
Yeah.
Ask.
Yeah, once
ask
that
head
merger
of
has
gaming?
gone through and every current plan for game has been scrapped, and everyone's been fired, you could just hit up Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard and go, yo, skiing to when? And maybe they'll start one for you.
I'm wondering, I mean, we've seen Barbie take off with a really popular movie, and that has that has made Mattel think, what other IP do we own, and can we make a movie for literally all of it? Let's just commission it all at once and not like test the waters with a second movie before committing to absolute insanity with like a horror themed Barney movie and an Uno movie.
Listen, Uno would make a great superhero movie, and I stand by that comment.
Anyways, the Mattel Cinematic Universe is going to be absolutely insane, but I am suggesting an Activision Cinematic Universe where we don't try to win over the Chinese population with a World of Warcraft movie. Instead, we try to do
do you know what
revive
else?
IP like this, skiing. It did work for Clue. Clue, okay, so
that's Hasbro?
yeah, I think, well, I don't know what Clue is in the UK either, and I think it's different.
Listen, Clue would make and always
the
will
thing with
a
Clue
great movie, and
was
we
that
know.
Clue had different endings.
Yes.
And I always thought that like they did that prior to there being digital theaters. And so I always thought that there was like this massively awesome storytelling opportunity to have movies with branching options so that you could do things like have a movie that like started the same, in the middle had different POV on what was going on, and then like ended the same. So instead of different endings, different context for the ending. And then you could like, I don't know, it would be really interesting.
Okay, but actually in the Clue movie, another thing you could have done if you were really clever was actually set everything up so well that there was both a reasonable alibi for everyone and also a reasonable indictment of everyone, and just had 6 different endings.
So I think they only had 3, but like,
Listen,
again, you had to
that's
make
so
like 3
cool.
different film prints back then.
Genius but
So-
expensive.
I just feel like
kmenzel.
like you could do that. Anyways, I think
there
that
is
we
a
could
Twilight
see
franchise that's been massively successful. Star Wars.
That's fair. So in terms of skiing, a thing that I accidentally unlocked
Buttons, I really hope you enjoy both of those movies.
Oh yes. A thing that I accidentally unlocked I was testing the setup today is another commercial.
Get your popcorn.
We're gonna watch another commercial, but not the kind that gives me any money.
Ad break.
Yeah, weird random ad break. Here's how Activision advertised skiing back in 1980.
Hello. Activision asked me to demonstrate their exciting new video game, Skiing.
This is such a French accent.
Atari video computer system and fly through downhill courses over moguls.
Do you know what is offensive?
Try the slalom race.
I don't think this guy's actually a skier.
And voila.
How would I know what to buy?
So
Correct.
You must have it.
I'm a little
no
too
kidding. I think I heard.
No kidding. Okay, we're fighting. Activision, put it up.
So the guy's name at the beginning,
Hello.
Claude Lafitte.
Me to demonstrate their exciting new.
Do you know what I'm mad about? And I'm legitimately mad about this.
What are you mad about?
They could have got an actual skier to do this, and instead they pretended like they did and didn't. And I really don't think it would have been more expensive to get an actual skier. There are tons of Olympians.
Yeah, I feel like definitely not an actual skier.
They won me with the pun. Listen, they won me with the everything. No kidding, was great.
I'm pretty sure that was...
That guy's name is Kyle, and we all know it. I'm pretty sure that was my VA debut. I'm almost certain that was my French accent on that guy. Skiers can't act. Ooh, Plum. I see what you did there. Oh, it violated the amateur. Yeah, that is a tricky one to get around. Listen, I just think they could have tried a little harder on that commercial.
All right, so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go on a little bit of a raid.
A little bit of a raid. Oh my gosh, Shatner did ads for Commodore. Things that I haven't seen and need to.
And we're gonna raid a channel that's really cool. This is Lady Arcaders.
Ooh.
So Metroid Crime sort of put together Lady Arcaders. They do
Are you keeping up?
Just a variety of sort of like women-focused speedrunning stuff. Looks like today we have a Tales of Vesperia Coliseum showcase with Critiques Quartz coming up. And I'm going to drop you all in there because
sounds like fun.
It is just about to start. They looks like they're kicking off their countdown right now. There's like 43 seconds left on that countdown. So yeah, let's head over there. Show that community some great love. There's some, put on by an awesome person. Looks like it's going to be some awesome fun times. So
thanks to everybody for letting me scream about bridge for almost 2 hours at you. And then also downhill skiing happened too.
That was really fun.
Nice to see all of you.
So yeah, hopefully we'll see you on our various streams next week.